Hello everyone, and happy Tuesday from the Sewing Workshop. My name is Alex, and I'm happy to be with you all here today. I'm wearing my new favorite pants in my new favorite fabric, and if you were with me last Thursday for our second annual virtual sew-along featuring the trio pants, our most beloved pants so far in 2025 for Sew Confident. Shout out to everyone that attended. You know what pants I'm talking about. So I'm going to show those off today. I have some pictures of me wearing these pants. And because we've had some of these colors of this fabric on pre-order, and we have loved this fabric for many years, you're going to see some of Linda's earlier samples in other patterns with this fabric. This gingham is in stock. We have it in our office. And so anyone that pre-ordered this fabric, perhaps you were shopping for trio pants fabric because it was kind of our highlighted fabric for this pattern, then your pre-orders are being filled and we are working to get those out the door. So pre-orders are going out first, and then you can also just order the fabric today, and that's in stock, and we're gonna get those orders out. So it's very exciting, and we love all of these new great colors. There are 6 colors of this gingham. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that and show those off. So first things first, I just want to share that anyone that participated in our summer sewing series, specifically the June bird blouse challenge, hats off to all of you. Big round of applause. Thank you all so much for participating in that. We've done challenges for the last few summers, and it's always such a treat to see what you all are making and how you all are sewing, especially through the summer, which can tend to be busy. It can tend to be kind of full, but it's always fun to have the social media challenge to just post pictures and show what you're sewing. And so with our new pattern that came out in June, the bird blouse, it's just really fun to see the variations you guys have been making. So we will have a presentation next week. Betsy and I will be leading that. We have a great gathering of prizes. And so we have winners for each of the categories. And I am still getting pictures from participants. So if you have yet to make a bird blouse, you still want to, if you send me pictures, I will add them to the presentation and they can still be in the running. So we are pushing back that presentation. So we'll see you next week for our bird blouse challenge. Presentation. There we go. So first of all, let's just show off these pictures of Linda with varying tops in her wonderful Slub Gingham pants. So we're going to talk about more of this today, but just wanted to show off kind of the feature fabric and the feature kind of ensemble. We're going to talk about this fabric, specifically the pants, and then what tops to wear with these pants. So Linda's wearing the Picassos there, but I'm wearing my trios. I have picked one of the 6 colors that we have. I'm wearing the magenta and white, but we do have light pink and white. We have navy and white, yellow and white, as well as green and white, the magenta and white that I'm wearing, and then black and white. So here are some pictures of me in my trios. I'm just wearing it with a V-neck swing tee, just a simple white t-shirt, but I do have a Sicily blouse cut out in the same gingham fabric. So I'm going to be head to toe in gingham and pink gingham, which is like my dream. So all of my dreams are coming true, and I hope yours are also. So these are the pants that I actually did make during the trio sew along last Thursday. So I actually had these cut out, but I sewed in between sessions. I know some of our participants were also sewing along, and the Zooms from that Thursday are recorded and on the course page. So any Sew Confident member that has not yet gotten to that, you can just refer back to your course page at any time to catch the recordings. And also, if you still want to join the summer sewing series featuring the trio pants and the bird blouse, you get access to all the information no matter when you join. So you can still join for this summer if you feel excited about wanting to make some new projects alongside us during the summer. So here are some customer pictures from their summer sewing series. We have Suzanne. She made her trios similar to me. She just made a bird blouse in matching fabric. So she's head to toe in this fabulous bright color, her trio pants and her bird blouse We have Ruth in the middle with her trio pants that she made for the sew along, and another new customer, her trio pants that she made for the sew along are there too. So it's just so fun to see the customers, in these sew alongs making things alongside us. So lots and lots of fun. Again, if you want to join the summer sewing series, you can join both of the months of June and July. June on the left, Erin's wearing the bird blouse, and July the trio pants on the right. So for $101, you get both months access to what we call our course pages. So you can see all of the content for each month in your course page. So you can check that out if you still want to join the summer sewing series. There's definitely still time. And if you did actually get a bird blouse kit that we had last month for June, this was our featured kit fabric. And if you're looking for a pant fabric to go with this kit, we think the black and white cotton slub stretch that's on sale this week would be a great fabric to pair with the kit. So any of our kit members, you can think about, if you're still not sure what to wear with that fabric, check out the black and white cotton this week. All right. Well, hello, Linda.
There. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
All
Well,
good.
you were talking about the sew along, so I got the pants out that I made that day. That was a really fun day.
It was.
I enjoyed every little aspect of it. We had 3 check-in times, 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock Central Time. And it's where we sort of, you sort of gave us the prompts for what to have ready for the next one. You gave us some techniques that would highlight those techniques that you would be doing in that in between like 9 and 1. And so I think you allowed for lunch, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Breakfast, whatever time it was.
But it was an interesting format, and I stole the format from my friends. This little group is a group of sewers from all over the country, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of them. I'm not sure how many. I get invited as a guest, and I attend sometimes. But this is a group that first met when I used to do sewing retreats in Florida. And then when those ended, they started coming to Kansas. And then they all decided to form this group that would meet on a Wednesday every month. And then they would have a sew along. I don't know how many times a year, 3 or 4 times a year, maybe a couple times. And so that format stuck in my brain. And I thought, oh, well, we can do that too. So thank you, Linda D'Amato, and all of you. That group doesn't have a name. They need a name. Anyway, thanks for that format. We stole the format from them, and it's been really fun. But I brought the pants that I made.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah. So here they are. And this is, I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks ago, we talked about fabric made out of hemp. And they were solids, even though they looked a little bit heathery. Well, we got in some stripes that are the same fiber, and they match the solids. So they are not on the website yet, but they will be maybe in a couple of weeks. So anyway, I'm crazy about this. I did the button closure, which Alex did as well. Other people did the zipper. That's an option in the pattern. I don't know why I think I chose the button because this fabric is fairly lightweight. I didn't want the zipper to be too heavy, but I think a zipper would have been fine on this, actually. I probably should have done that. The pocket is very deep, and it has this kind of cargo tuck at the bottom. So there's a fullness to the pocket. But we had the trios. I wish I could tell you when. But the pattern, the original printed pattern included pants, a top, and a t-shirt. And we have put out the t-shirt and the top as digital patterns standalone patterns, and now we've added the pants. It's so funny. I thought the t-shirt was going to be the most popular part of that pattern, but it was the pants. So we finally got that accomplished. And now those are digital patterns instead of printed patterns. So if you have the old printed trio, you have those patterns. Anyway, that was mine. It was really fun. I didn't get completely done that day. I had to prepare my waistband and put it on and top stitch the hems, and that's all I had left. So one of the reasons I love that sew along is that it's a motivator. You're absolutely going to set aside a day and you're going to sew, and you're not going to do anything else except eat lunch. And I don't know, there's just something about sewing with a little group, even though you may not know these people. That's, you have a shared interest and you're all making the same thing, and you've dedicated the time, and it's a chance to get a garment probably pretty close to done. So we talked about fit a little bit. We talked about fabric selections. So it was a pretty comprehensive day, actually. It was really fun. So we're thinking about doing more of them. If you think that's a great idea to do them, we might think about another one or two sometime. If you like that idea, put it in the chat and we'll evaluate what you have to say. So I did want to make a little comparison between the trio pants and the Picasso pants, which is what we're going to talk about today. People think they're the same. They really aren't. The trio pants do have the same waistband as the Picassos. They're flat across the front and elastic around the back. One of the things we did talk about in the sew along was how you could fill this flat part with elastic that's not gathered. Interface it, anyway, stabilize this and make this so it wouldn't maybe roll down. We talked about that. We talked about the construction of the pocket. So this definitely has a pocket, and it has a shape at the bottom that is rather lantern shape, as we call it. So the fit is pretty standard through the waist and hips. The legs do flare out and then they come back in. And everybody who tries this on says the same thing. Well, I never thought I could wear this. I'm either too short or too large or something. I always thought this would make me look kind of dumpy, but they put them on and all of a sudden, oh, I need to make these. So to compare these to the Picassos, which are behind me, they look similar, but I think the Picassos fit a little bit bigger. And then the leg shape is very similar, but the lantern shape in the Picassos is created by having separate pieces that are sewn together to create. So there's a horizontal seam across here, which is not in the trio. There is a similarity, no question, but the details are very different, and I think you would enjoy making both, actually. But I can sometimes go down a size in the Picassos, but I can't do it in the trios. And I'm not even sure I need to do it on the Picassos, to tell you the truth. So that's the difference. Now, the trios do have the deep pocket, which doesn't have to be made as deep as this is. It could be shorter. It could be moved. It could be a different kind of pocket. The Picassos do not have a pocket, but we do have a way for you to add a pocket. Two ways, actually. So when you order either the printed or the digital pattern for the Picassos, also you get a file of a pocket shape, and you get some instructions on how to install that pocket. So the place to put the pocket is in this seam right here. There's no real side seam on the Picassos. There's a side panel. So there's a seam towards the back and a seam towards the front. And this is a straight panel with a fold, basically where a side seam would be. So this pocket would fit in this forward seam. And you at first think, well, that's a funny place to put it, but it's actually just fine. You find yourself putting your hands in that pocket super easily. So it's not a problem. Another way to do a pocket on the Picasso Oh, and I should say, if you order the printed Picasso, Bessie, you'll have to make sure I'm saying this right. If you order the printed Picasso, you also get this template for a pocket. So either way, whether it's digital or printed, you're going to get the pocket. Is that right, Bessie?
That is correct. And but the file will be a download, so don't be confused if you order the printed and you see a download file. It's just the pocket. You will get the printed pattern.
Yeah, we've had a little confusion about that. People saying, "Oh, I meant to order the printed pattern." Well, it's coming, but in the meantime, you have the file. So, okay, here's another way to do a pocket. So we have this side panel, and you can actually put more like a patch pocket that straddles that side panel. So that pocket is sewn into the forward seam and the backward seam. And that can be any size you want, any place you want. I think that's a good way to do it too. Super easy. All you do is finish the top hem and sew it at the bottom and baste it at each seam, and then you just include the seam allowance of the pocket as you're sewing the seams of the pants. I don't know, some people like pockets. I do too, actually, and I don't know why. It's not like I put anything in them, but there's a certain stance, certain way to stand that you kind of hang your hand out of the pocket. It's kind of a model pose, I guess, but it's nice. So I guess I could put a Kleenex in there, and but I'm not going to put anything too big or bulky. So, any questions about pockets?
No questions about pockets.
Okay.
With the trio pants also, I know we've probably mentioned this throughout some of our live streams about the pant, but you can also think about even just removing the pockets. The pocket, there in the pattern, you have a zipper pocket or a button pocket closure pattern piece. So you can think about even just not cutting those pattern pieces out, and you just have then a side panel. So
I'm going to go grab something. Hold on. Yes, you're right, Alex.
So maybe if I get a chance here, I can find a picture. We had a customer, actually, Jenny Atwood, who has been on our live streams before. She did a trio pant with no pocket and just did contrasting side panels. So it was kind of a black and white fabric that she used. And so that was a fun option also. So if you don't like the bulkiness or the sort of shape even of that pocket, make it without.
This pair is made without. This is a silk. It might be a polyester, and although I think it's silk, can't remember. But anyway, here's the shape of the trios. No pockets, and it's just a nice shape leg. Totally changes the look of it without the pocket. So I considered these pants a little bit dressier, so I didn't put the pocket. So Picasso also comes with a top, Picasso top. And I love this top for winter or summer. Here it is. It's kind of color blocked. It's just made out of cotton jersey. And you can see that the seaming is very unusual. There's a front seam on the towards the left and a back seam down the center. And we have two ways of seaming this garment that are described in the guide sheet. One is you can make this just like you would make any other t-shirt. Regular seam allowances, right sides together, sew them together, trim them or finish them with a serger and press them towards the back. That's one way. But as we did on this one, we did overlapping seams. This is a technique that we have been doing on some jackets when we've used that boucle fabric that's the rayon and the wool, where one seam overlaps the other seam and you stitch it and you see a raw edge. So this is a good technique if your fabric does not ravel. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for a woven, mostly a knit. And that boucle that we call boucle rayon and wool is a knit. It doesn't look like it is, but the construction is definitely a knit. So let's take this seam, for example. So this is the one that would be the underlap, I guess, and this would be the overlap. So this portion of the Picasso overlaps this. So that means the seam allowance of this light gray is removed, and the seam allowance of this taupe remains. So you mark with a chalkener the seam allowance on this color, and then you put some craft tape, it's called. It's like a narrow masking tape, has a little cover to it. When you put it down inside of the seam allowance, then you remove the paper covering, and then this will stick to it. This overlaps and sticks. Then you can sew it, and you don't have to worry about it moving, bubbling, creasing. It's there. It's really nice. It's better than pinning. It's like gluing. You can either keep the tape there, which I tend to do. Kathy Davis removes it. So it's totally up to you. But the guide sheet does give you this formula and actually illustrations of which seam allowances get removed and which do not. Now, some people go ahead and remove all the seam allowances at the beginning of a project. I tend to do it as I go. So if I'm doing this seam, I'm going to trim this now. If I'm doing this seam, I'm going to trim it now. Then I don't forget, and I know that I have removed the seam that I'm going to work with immediately. Now I used a little bit of a mixture here. My side seams are a standard seam allowance, and then a 3-thread overlock on the edge. I've actually engaged my cover stitch. So I cover stitch the bottom. You can leave the bottom raw, or you can hem it in any way you choose. But I do have the capability of a cover stitch, which I think is a stitch that, at some point, most sewers are going to invest in. If you're a garment sewer, you're going to invest in the cover stitch. It's the most like ready to wear that we sewers have. So we certainly have made this in all solid colors, or you can make it color blocked like this. But this is the pattern that is available with the pants, Picasso top. There are other tops that look really good with the pants. I tend to think that a garment that's a little bit shorter looks a little bit better than something that's real long. I have on the gardenia top, and I've never worn these together, but I thought this morning when I was dressing, that looks pretty good. So, and I had another t-shirt at home that I was going to wear, and it was too long. So I got this out and thought, oh, this works. I don't always wear short sleeves in the summer. I'm a little conscious about the texture of my skin at this point in my life. But you know what? I'm okay with it. It's hot. This is linen and it feels wonderfully cool and summery, and it is dead hot summer in Kansas at the moment. So, but another one that looks good is the Hugo top, also a shorter top. And this is the one that has this placket. There's a button and loop at the top. And then I think it's 3 buttons. Yeah, 3 buttons. Can't see them very well. Under this vented overlap. It has a band at the arm's eye, very much like the Eureka top. Has a facing that finishes all of the neckline really nicely. A small vent at the side, and the front is a little bit longer than the back. This is a rayon, so it's woven, a woven fabric, but it can be made in a knit or a woven. And I love lemons, so I know that that looks really good with the Picassos. And then we have some fun variations of the ET. The ET is a basic t-shirt that we do a lot of things with. It has a nice shaped hem. But this is a sleeve variation that has an inverted pleat that comes out of the shoulder seam and dies near the bottom of the sleeve. This is one of 3 sleeve variations that we have in a tutorial. Is that right, Betsy? Is it a tutorial or is it a blog?
It's a workshop.
It's a workshop. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a gathered sleeve, the inverted pleat, and a longer sleeve that ties. So you can acquire that workshop and get the how to make these patterns for the sleeves and apply them to your ET. But this is also a great pattern with these pants, with any of the sleeve variations, including the original, which is a nice, fairly short, simple sleeve. Actually, I would wear that with these all day long. So those are some possibilities. Of course, the cottage shirt is fabulous with the Picassos, and I'm sure if I thought about it, there would be other ones as well, or ones that I could shorten, perhaps, because I think that's important. If you have a dress form, you can check proportions on a dress form. If you don't have one, then just pin your pattern pieces together, slip it on with your Picasso pants, and kind of determine the length in your full-length mirror. I hope you all have a full-length mirror in your sewing room. Okay, any questions so far?
We have a few. How much fabric, how much of the slub fabric would I need for medium trio pants without the pocket? So let me look up the trio pants fabric yardages.
I think it's 2 2/3, but that should be checked.
Yeah, for 45-inch wide fabric, you need 2 5/8 for extra small through medium. And for 60-inch wide fabric, you need 2 1/3. So that pocket's maybe like 12 inches, I would guess. There's 2 of them.
Yeah, so maybe 2 1/2.
Yeah.
Actually, there are 4 of them. Oh, it's 2 pockets. You're right, Alex. But there are 4 pieces to cut.
Right. What is the best place for the trio pants hem to hit on the leg?
I wish I could stand on something. So you can see the length on me, because I like the way.
I can show the pictures from my
There you go.
This is, I mean, I think it traditionally is like an ankle length pant. So as you can see, this is a size large. I didn't know alterations at all. I am 5'10", and these are hitting me right at the ankle.
Right above the ankle, or kind of just in the ankle, or below the ankle?
Just at the ankle. They hit my ankle.
Okay. Yeah, I like the length of those. I have made mine too short a time or two, and I think they look kind of silly. So I have, let's see, on the trios, I shortened my pants 1 inch. I'm 5'6", and I made a small. I shortened my pants an inch. Excuse me. Yes, shortened them 1 inch. My Picassos, I've lengthened an inch. So you do have to check it. And it's hard by yourself. Yeah. So those are the ones I have on.
Yeah.
Mine are a little shorter than yours, Alex, I think. Mine look like they're right above the ankle.
Mm-hmm. I do tend to wear the Picassos a little shorter also.
Yeah. Why is that, I wonder? I think there's something about the pocket on the trios that you don't want to get the pants too short, because then the pocket kind of overwhelms the pants. Now you can shorten the pocket. Even after you cut it out, you can probably shorten it. But yeah, it's really something to think about. You just can't cut it out from the pattern. You've got to kind of work with it beforehand. Stand in front of a mirror, draw up a tape measure, and if you're like me, it's hard to read with my bifocals, but do the best you can.
Yeah, we mentioned in the sew along to take a pattern that you like the length of, and you can always measure that and compare that to the trios. So find a length that you really prefer and really like, and it's not difficult to, even once you kind of make the trios, to then take it off the hem at the bottom. There is a length and a shorten line on the pattern, but if you get to the point where you're like, you perhaps put the legs together and then you're doing the hem, there is a hem. We use the hem pressing template method, and so you could even change how you do the hem. It doesn't have to be folded up as much, or you could trim it off. So definitely make sure you get the right length that you love.
I wouldn't try to shorten them like inches, though. An inch or so, maybe inch and a half.
How is the fusible tape used on Picasso tape different to Fusy Web?
Fusible tape is Fusy Web. Same thing. And I noticed that in the sew along, Alex used Fusy Web to fuse her waistband down, which I have never done, but I think it's a good idea. But that's the only and the hems. You would use the Fusy Web on the hems. I do that.
And the pocket, to place your pocket along the bottom.
Yes.
What is the ease difference between the trios and the Picassos?
I don't know if I can answer that super accurately. So I probably, in these Picassos, I probably have 8 inches of ease. I'm pinching it 2 inches. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 inches. The trios, I don't know exactly, but I know it'd be at least an inch smaller. Neither one do you want to fit too tight. You want to allow the fabric to fall.
The sew along, did we tape the sew along? Yes, we did. So it was pretty much exclusively to Sew Confident members, but we also have the opportunity for you guys to join what's called the Summer Sewing Series. So if you're not a Sew Confident member and you wanted to just join for the virtual sew along and the bird blouse, you can get these 2 projects for this special price for the summer. If you're not a Sew Confident member, if you are a Sew Confident member, you of course have access to all the material all year as a member. So if you want to see the sew along and see what it's all about, you can grab this product, shop the Summer Sewing Series, and you can see all of the recordings for the virtual sew along that you would get access to instantly. How would we remove about 1 inch of ease in the trio at the hip?
How would you remove the ease in the hip? Well, our standard grade between sizes at those sizes is 2 inches. So you could remove quarter. You could remove about 1/4 of an inch from each. Let's see, we've got more seams than just 4. So are we talking Picassos or trios? I'm sorry.
Trio.
Trios. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 seams each side. So there are 8 seams. So so you could take about 1/4 of an inch off of each seam. Does that add up? 1/4 times 8. That's 2 inches, isn't it? About 1/8 of an inch off of each seam would remove 1 inch. You could cut that off or you could sew it that way.
I have a question. So a lot of the fabrics we're showing today, we have a mix of knit and print, knit and woven, but a lot of them are woven. So I'm thinking about the Picasso top to make with Picassos or maybe trios. But since it's the highlighted pattern, I'm wondering if you've made or how you would think about making the trio top in a woven fabric.
Oh, I think that would be fine. We have not done that, and I can't tell you why, but I know that I have seen it in wovens when we were in Chateau. I was thinking about Chateau de Mars this morning for some reason, but at any rate, at one of our Chateau de Mars workshops where Nancy Schreiber was teaching us how to dye fabric, I know of one person who made it in a woven and it was great. You would use traditional seams, you would just sew it up. Yeah, it would be great.
So you could even make a Picasso top in this gingham cotton. You could make it in any of the woven fabrics we're featuring today.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I don't see any more questions yet.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look at the fabric. So the deal on this fabric is we discovered this fabric from a small manufacturer in Belgium. And we ordered some, and I made my blue ones. And I probably made these blue ones 3 years ago, I would say. By the way, I think that's one of the beauty of many of our patterns is that they're just sort of universal, and they're interesting, and the styles last a long time. So I'm wearing garments that I made 20 years ago that are still really great for today. But at any rate, that's another subject. Anyway, I made the blue ones and I ended up wearing them for travel. I remember wearing them to Mexico, I think it was. Alex and I went on a painting excursion in Mexico, and they don't wrinkle. They're lightweight. The fabric doesn't really show too much, it's not like a solid where if you spill something, you're going to get a blob. It doesn't really happen on this fabric. This is a really great fabric. So we ended up ordering a couple of colors. I think we had black and the blue and maybe another one, I can't remember. And we sold out of that. Well, then we got word that that small manufacturer in Europe was going out of business. And if we bought a full bolt of however many colors, we could have access to it because they were closing them out. So we ordered 6 colors. So that's how we happen to have it. And we're checking to see if we can get more. I'm sort of 50-50 on thinking maybe, but we don't have the answer yet. But we will soon, I think, because they may have more bolts. We had to buy a full bolt, which at the time I thought was, oh my gosh, that's too much fabric. But it won't be because this is such a popular fabric. But we may not be able to get it again. So this may be your opportunity. I think there's a couple of other colors that we did not order that I didn't really care for. So we have pretty much the full range of what's available. Anyway, it came in. And so I think the easiest way for you to see the fabric is maybe on these pants. I don't know, maybe not. Let me pull out the pink ones, the pink. That's the heaviest one. Let me pull out this one. Okay. So there are 2 sides to this fabric. It is a gingham, but it has been enhanced with some interesting stitching. So you can see on this side, you see some crinkled pleats, I guess I'll call them tucks. And on the other side, they're not as dominant. Alex used this side, and I used the other side on my pants. I'm not sure which is the right or the wrong side. I don't know that there is one, but you can choose. And that feature of the stripes kind of varies with the colors. It's pretty evident in the black, not very evident in the yellow. This one is navy, and you can see the stripes. You can see it in this magenta, and not as much in the light pink or the green. So it kind of depends. The darker colors have a darker stripe, I guess I'll call it. But it's like it's created with, I don't know, some stitching. I've never seen a fabric like this, actually. So we say it's crinkled, but it's crinkled mechanically. So the crinkles stay in. It's not wrinkled by pressing or some technique that puts pleats into fabric that may or may not stay. So these fabrics will stay as you see them. They're all cotton, I believe. Well, there's a little bit of poly in them. That's probably what creates the puckers, but we don't know how much of what. Unless Betsy knows. Okay, it's 72%.
I do know it's 72% cotton, 25% poly, 3% spandex.
Okay. Well, it feels like cotton, so that poly must have something to do with the mechanical manipulation of this fabric and the weave of it. Okay.
And we do have some great pictures on the website of kind of the close-ups of these slubs and some of the details. So you can always go to these sale category products and we always try to make sure these pictures are really nice. So if you want to just see things closer, and I just saw a question come through about the width. So these fabrics are 48 inches wide.
So in the crinkle, sorry here, I'm struggling. So in the crinkle, we have black on the bottom here. This is called magenta. I would think this would be called yellow, but I guess I don't really know. Yes, it's called yellow. And then we have this green, the pink, and the navy. I don't think we could get the light blue. I think it was all gone. So I think we got what they had. Now I mix these with other colors, thinking it could be a top, it could be a Hugo top, a Picasso top, or a t-shirt of some sort, if it's a knit. But I've got some wovens up here as well. I love this combination of this kind of hot green and purple. This is, I think, a viscose. Feels like it. Yeah. This is pretty. Quite unusual. So you could make something that can be made in a woven with this fabric. We have such a sophisticated system here, you know. This is, I love this fabric. This is all cotton, but it is a woven. To me, it looks kind of architectural. It may or may not be, but these look like columns. This is actually upside down. It kind of looks like Grecian or Roman elements from architecture, but a nice weight of cotton, like a cotton shirting. This is a knit, and this is really fun for summer. It's people on a beach on blankets sunbathing. I just love it. Now that would go with the yellow. It would go with the pink. That's about it, I guess. And the navy, of course, is what we have it with. This is an all over print. Fabulous print. We're having more and more trouble getting good knits. I don't mean good like quality, but good like attractive. I don't know. There's a whole lot of knits out there that I can't buy them. Just, you know, I don't know. But this is a nice viscose knit, nice weight. You can make pants out of it. You can make a top out of it. But really beautiful. And I think it's fantastic with the pink, the yellow, the other pink, and black. This is the color that this is my next pair. To me, yellow is summer. I don't know, sunshine, bright. I love yellow. So that's my next pair. And then this is a lemon woven that's viscose. You can tell I love lemons. You know, whenever I see a fabric that has lemons, I'm all over it. So wovens and knits, shorter tops, feel summery.
Can you pre-wash these fabrics, and will the
Yes, you can.
crinkles come out in the dryer?
Yep, you can do both.
Do the crinkles come out in the dryer?
No, the wrinkles are woven wrinkles. They're not
So
put in there.
is it like a seersucker?
Not really. It looks like it would be, but these are vertical puckers that go a long way. So each individual gingham or check is not puckered. The crinkles are a more elongated. I'm sure there's a pattern to it, but I've never been able to pick up on it. It's sort of random.
How is it to iron? It's just fine to iron.
Yeah.
There's nothing to consider. You can iron it normally with steam, without steam, high heat.
Yeah, the crinkles stay in when you iron it. I can't remember ever ironing my pants. I'm sure I have. In the construction of them, I know I have. But in the everyday wear of them, I don't have to refresh them ever.
The yellow, would you say it has a slight greenish cast?
Yeah, it may, although I think it looks a little greener on the screen than this was heavy. Well, it's a lot brighter than it's showing up on the screen, and I think it's a lot greener on the screen. This looks pretty yellow to me. It's looking paler than it is in real life. I don't know why, but it is. You can see that there's somewhat darker crinkles in it.
Would you recommend this fabric for a summer dress? Absolutely. It could be, Linda, you're wearing the gardenia blouse. We have the gardenia dress. That would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Could you cut the pattern pieces across the grain so that the stripes go horizontal?
Sure. I don't know why not. Because of the crinkles, there is a stretch to it. It's not, well, it does have a little bit of spandex in it. Did we determine that?
Yes.
Percent spandex. But because I think, in addition to the spandex, the crinkles create horizontal. So you would have, which I've never really noticed in the wearing of my pants, that they're stretchy, but they are. So that means that if you cut them on the lengthwise grain, you'll get the horizontal stretch around you, which is typical of what you should do with a knit. But in this case, if you wanted crosswise, I don't think that'd be a problem, even though the stretch would be lengthwise.
This is not a scratchy fabric at all. It's very soft. Would not consider it scratchy.
No, not at all.
All right, I don't see any more questions. I can go ahead and share my screen and show you guys the sale so you can get a glimpse of some of the other pictures and details. But here are the patterns. You can go to our homepage, click on the sale icon. So this is the Summer Slub Gingham sale this week. So we have the ET PDF pattern that is available on sale this week. And that pattern also has the online workshop available. So Linda mentioned, if we scroll down here, you'll see the ET sleeve options online workshop. So if you purchase this, that will give you access to the material to actually make 3 different sleeves with the ET pattern. So the ET is one of our most beloved t-shirt patterns. And so getting this additional online workshop is fun to just be able to throw in some different sleeve options into a very kind of basic t-shirt. Next pattern is the Hugo. So that is a paper pattern and PDF pattern. You can choose which pattern option you want there. And then the Picasso top-end pants is also both printed and digital. And we have different online workshops for the Picasso, so you can click on that and see how we've made variations of the Picasso. We made a Picasso sweatshirt, different things like that. So anytime you see an online workshop available icon, just means that we have other variations where we've added things to it that are available for purchase. The Hugo Top third quarter So Confident Series 8 tutorial is available for sale. So this is just a great visual and informational tutorial that shows different ways of working and making the Hugo along with other things. So if you want to grab that tutorial, that is for sale. It is, I was going to say it was 60 pages, but it's 50 pages long. And in this description, it describes everything that you would see in this 50-page PDF tutorial. Then here are all the fabrics. So we have them kind of paired with what goes kind of based on the wall, but you can see the lemon cream dream. You can see the yellow and white gingham. You can see then the really cool printed floral knit. And yeah, I think this with that yellow gingham would be fabulous. The magenta and white, again, which is what I am wearing for my trio pants. The black and white gingham, and then the really fun swimmer knit. It's called Sunburst. The navy and white gingham, and then the Tonalon, what Linda mentioned, sort of the geometric Grecian architectural prints that would again make a really fabulous woven top. The light pink gingham, so yes, just slightly lighter than the trios that I'm wearing. And this really interesting rayon, the lime green and purple poinsettia, followed by the green and white gingham. So definitely click on these pictures to get more details, to get more imagery, and see what they're all about. But that is our fabric and pattern selection for this week for the Summer Slub Gingham sale. I don't think these sag. I wouldn't say this is a saggy fabric.
No, it keeps its shape really well.
All right, everyone. Well, we'll see you next week for the Bird Blouse Challenge presentation. And so thank you guys for joining us. And it's always a pleasure. We'll see you next week.